It's showtime. That's what it says at the top when I use StreamYard to display this. And definitely, I managed to do it on time. Although I don't have a reason not to be on time. I was just working on other things. And here I am. And welcome to another. So did I title it right? Yes, it says Saturday stream. So we're going to go with I titled it right. I've titled it Sunday stream on Saturdays and Saturday stream on Sundays. I've definitely gotten it wrong quite a bit. I use the same email address, the Vlog Thursday one, because it's set up and exists for people that want to send questions in that can't be fit into comments. That's something that happens a lot. Let's see. Do I have any emails that came in? I feel like there's one. And I got to address this one. Someone asked me via email, can they get this shirt? These are from Ninja One, so I don't have the rights to it. But I got to ask Jonathan. He's on my ask list for next week of things to do. Matter of fact, I'm going to make myself a to-do list notice for that exact thing. Where did this go? Oh, did I close it? I have certainly closed it. Well, I can fix that. I've been using, I don't know if it's worth me doing a video on it, but boy, is it a cool product or tool or open source project. And that's LogSeq. So make myself a to-do before I forget. Ask Jonathan about, what does it say on these shirts? I got to read it in the screen. Oh, hugged your IT person shirts. Hugged IT person shirt. There we go. Man, I cannot. I feel bad because I can't spell this right. Jonathan. There we go. My to-do list has been made. All right. What do we have here? Do you use anything like Observium or LibreNMS, etc.? I was using Zabbix. I'm probably going to wind down my Zabbix server because I don't do much with it anymore. I don't think there's anything wrong. What is the other one? It's called Check MK. I feel like that's what it's called. This is another one people ask me about. I haven't used it either, but hey, since we're talking about them, we'll throw one more on the list here. But no, I don't really use any of those anymore. Business-wise, we use Auvik for everything. And myself, I just use Uptime Kuma to let me know if things are up. That's as much as I care, is tell me if they're down. And then you have two Uptime Kumas. One manages all the stuff, and you have another Uptime Kuma that just makes sure the other Uptime Kuma is doing Uptime Kuma things. And then you're done. Then you have everything. But this is the other one, the Check MK. I've heard good things about this one too. It's supposed to be a good system. But I don't use it, so I can't really speak to it. It's not something I need to use very often is probably the best way to describe that. Now, I will talk real quick about this, because I think this is really cool. This is the thing I don't know that I would be the one to do the video on, because there's already people who are much more organized than me doing videos. But if you're looking for a self-hosted cross-platform second brain, we'll just call it second brain. I'm trying to think of the word to use, but second brain is what I've heard a lot of people call it. And I really like it. I like things that are open source. I like things that have plain text on the back end because it makes things really easy to edit. And this particular tool, I think, is awesome. It's really helped me. It's the first time I've really felt more organized when I want to get things done, especially when I have all these little to-do lists that I make. It's been solid for that. So if you're looking for an interesting application to do the whole second brain thing, it's just neat. Project management, it's all the little knowledge things that happen. I'm actually using it for my newsletter, which I wanted to announce. So that's the next thing is I have to collect all this data that's going to go into my newsletter, and I've been writing it, and writing it all at once is hard. Writing it incrementally is a lot easier. So if you head over to my website, actually, let me log out. Whoops. Come on. There we go. Share this tab instead. If you go over to my website and you scroll down to the bottom, I have launched a newsletter. So it's double opt-in, and someone pointed out that the day one I turned it on, it was not. That was fixed immediately. So now it is a double opt-in newsletter. And yeah, if anyone's interested in staying up to date with what I have going on, it'll be some of the news articles I cover. It'll be videos that I have. So if you're interested, this is of course opt-in. This is not me to try to sell you anything. It's just an easy way to avoid algorithms that may or may not tell you when things are happening or what videos were covered. Or I'm also going to have in there just some of the general updates to software I talk about a lot. And I'm going to put a couple of my musings in there. Sometimes I find interesting things on the internet that will just be part of my newsletter that's going to go out. My plans are just twice a month. I don't want to do any more than 24 newsletters a year. I think that is plenty of newsletters. And it's plenty of commitment to me to do it. So if you're interested, head over to lawrencesystems.com. That's where you'll find that. And as I said, I'm building that data with this tool here, the LogSeek tool, because it works really well. Now, something else I'm doing to fix up things on the channel is these live streams seem to be a lot of fun for both me and many of the audience members who participate. But as people love to point out, they're not well indexed, but that's changing. I'm working on putting together a solid workflow on this. The workflow is not finished, but it works. I just got to tune it. And I'm big on making it a really simple process. But essentially, I plug this all into AI a few hours after the live stream is done. That way the system can transcribe it. Once it's all transcribed, I have an AI system analyze it and then create all the timestamps and notices for it. It's pretty cool. I've done it to a handful of the videos that are all existing. So I'm going through the backlog and adding it. And I read through it to make sure it's accurate because sometimes it just doesn't understand the context. So I'm not going back too far because I don't want to have to rewatch videos to make sure I have the context right. Because the thing with AI is it's not a replacement for people. But boy, is it helpful. I know the full context of what I talked about. I'm pretty good at memorizing things and remembering the conversations I had. But AI will occasionally just get things a little bit wrong about what I was talking about. So I will go through the notes it creates, which is way easier than me watching, because I did it on some of my 2 and 3 hour live streams, and I just fix up the notes, but everything becomes nice and time indexed with a nice summary. So definitely really a fun thing I'm going to be able to do so people can go through and have an understanding of it. The second brain is LogSeek. Oh, I see you figured that out later. Awesome. Will I make a video on the AI tools for this? I doubt it. I don't think it's so far off base from my channel. Like, hey, how to update your YouTube channel. I mean, it's not to me anything particularly. It's like I try to stay on topic. Because the problem is when I get way off topic of my channel. I mean, I'll tell people the tools I'm using. It's called Taja AI. Let me find it real quick. Share this tab. This is the tool I'm using. How YouTubers optimize in 3 minutes. I'm looking at doing this with ChatGPT, but it does it better when you use this tool. I tried using ChatGPT, which has a tool to summarize videos. It just doesn't do the timestamps very well. So this tool actually does the timestamps in a better organized method. Downside is it costs a lot more than my usual ChatGPT subscription. But I don't know. I might do some self-hosted ChatGPT videos coming up that I might do. That I think there's a lot of useful things where you can host these large language models yourself. So that might be on topic for my channel, but how to optimize your YouTube channel, not likely a video I'll do. Nothing of interest to ask. Happy holidays. May your stockings be filled. It was sold out unified dream routers. Yeah. And nope, I have not. I've been busy doing a lot of other things, so I have not done anything with CheckMK. Hey, Tom, another massive year with great content. Hope you and your family festive season. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Nathan. What's the big boulder you're getting into? I don't know. I don't do New Year's resolutions at all. Not my thing. When I make decisions to do things, I just go do them. I don't wait for a date to do them. I don't set like by this day. I set completion dates based on when I want a project done because of things I have scheduled. But yeah. Other than that, have you seen Synology announcing the V6000? If you have one, have your thoughts on it? Yes, I have one. did I plug it in before the video? Probably not. Let me try. Let me see if it's still plugged in. I was just moving things today. Hey, it's plugged in. I can actually show you. I was supposed to have the review done, and I do not. But it's here. This is what it looks like. Oh, and by the way, I'm using the Bly KVM to show you this. Let's see if this... I may have unplugged the USB to it. Oh, I did not. It works. There we go. Cool. So yes, this is that. The flickering is not the system. It is somehow not liking the KVM. I can't imagine a lot of people are going to be using a KVM to view their device. That would be illogical, but it works. I like the device. I've had no problems with it other than it not liking my KVM, which is a completely... I think I could probably adjust something and fix that. But yeah, not a big deal. Now let's talk about this though, because it's in the title. Is the other device. Let's see. Hold on. What else is in here? With those little boxes, where I went with Synology, I can't wait for that review. I have stock alerts on 3 sites. Yeah, the just to comment on that, the reason the video is not done is we are delayed on getting our cameras in. It's going to live at the CNWR offices. We're putting all new cameras in at CNWR, all Synology cameras, and we're going to put a video wall up, and we're going to use that as the video wall controller. So that's on our to-do list to get that all configured, but it isn't done. So I'm going to do a review using my cameras, but it's going to get a second review when it becomes living at the CNWR. But I've had it for a while. I've probably had it for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe longer. I have to look at the date I got it, because the day I got it, I plugged it in and turned it on. Well, no, I take that back. A few days after I got it, because by accident of Synology, they didn't send me the right plug. They sent me the Euro plug, not the US plug, when they shipped it to me. Minor detail. They just, I don't know why they made that. It was a minor thing. It's not a dig at them at all. It's just something that happened. But yes. Is Bly KVM different than PyKVM or same open source? They're very related is the way I would describe them. They're not 100%. And that's a review I was going to work on today and I didn't get done. Jeff reminded me, Jeff from Craft Computing did a review on the Bly KVM. I might have had mine longer than him. I've had it for like 6 or 7 months, maybe longer. I've been using it. I really like it. I've been updating it. I SSH into it and do all the updates. And I've watched the product mature through code updates. And I have I have a lot of notes on the review because I've been using it so much. But that leads me to something I'm going to be working on today. When I'm done with this live stream, there's a part of my office you can't see over here, but I don't like things disorganized, and things are getting a little disorganized because I have so many little things I'm reviewing, which is not normal for me. But I also realized I spend too much time just doing some of the tutorials and some of the product reviews. So I'm building this area for my studio is bigger than it needs to be for what I'm using it for today. But I built it this big so I could grow. And I've now been here like pushing 2 years. I think it'll be 2 years in February that I am in this studio. So I'm taking the empty space and building the second set. I always wanted to do it, but I'm very careful. I try to use everything I have and optimize it before I upgrade it again. I don't upgrade for the sake of upgrading. So yes, that review will come out. I'm going to just finish today building the second part of the studio. I know what I want. The vision is in my head, and I will go get that done. The Bly KVM website's broken. Yep. It is not a great website. That's part of the reasons I want to make sure the thing. How do you not know, Travis? You signed for it. I think you're the one who signed for it. So that's what was in the mystery Synology box. I opened it up at the office. So that's on you, Travis. Do you think 2 UniFi Express would be better than 1 U6 mesh? That statement doesn't make a lot of sense because you don't want 2 UniFi Expresses. The UniFi Express is a router, so you can get the UniFi Express and then add another Wi-Fi to it. And one of the things I've been doing, and why my review takes longer for the UniFi Express versus a lot of people have theirs. First, UniFi doesn't send me things for free anymore. They've decided that they don't want to, which is fine. I'd buy everything on my own. Everything I review for UniFi for like the last almost probably 2 years now, if not longer, has been 100% stuff I purchased from UniFi. The UniFi Express is no exception to that. And I don't know that buying 2 UniFi Expresses would work in mesh mode. I'm going to go with I doubt that works. The UniFi mesh is meant to manage other UniFi devices. But what I did for my testing is I bought it, and the home side of my network, not where my business stuff is, now it's currently streaming and everything else. You see Discord and YouTube and Facebook. This is my home side of my network, and this is what's running it is a UniFi Express. So you can see all the here. I just have one switch, and it feeds another UniFi switch. I didn't want to swap adopting it because I got all the ports labeled and I didn't feel like doing that. But where's the topology? Oh, I got a kick out of this. It has the Tesla in there, so that's funny. My car's going through it. But yeah, this has got all the different see if I hit play, will it show me the traffic? Oh, it stopped trafficking. Reload the page. Why is the traffic display now? Well, it was working earlier. Show internet traffic. It stopped. Well, it was working before, but yeah, it seems to work quite well. I haven't had any issues with it so far running. And I wanted to do a review of actually running my network with it and managing devices because I think just reviewing it doesn't really give you the whole story until you say, oh, look, Tom's got a bunch of devices. He connected his printers to it. He connected all of his Chromecasts to it. My big TV is connected to it, and that's where my wife, I can hear her upstairs when I was up there. She's watching TV right now, streaming whatever show she watches. But overall, it's worked really quite well. No issues. Most active clients. Oh, let's look at my wife's phone. What's my insights from her phone? Let's see. Ooh, should I test the app blocking and take my wife off Facebook? View all traffic. Create some filtering rules. Like I said, it's working really well. I like the UniFi Express. Certainly waiting for the refresh review. Plan for parents. Maybe pair it with a Flex HD. Yeah. Yep. How much power does it draw? Is it viable for road warrior setups in a car? I don't know why you would use it in the car. It's low wattage. I think if you look on UniFi's website, they have the wattage on there. So if we look, it's somewhere on here. I know I've seen it somewhere. Maybe I'm skipping right over it. Buy now. Maybe it's on their buy page. I'm going to measure it as well, but it doesn't use a lot of wattage. Technical specs. There we go. 10 watts. I knew it's in there somewhere. But yeah, only 10 watts. I don't know why you'd use it in your car, but sure, 10 watts. Travis does sign for a lot of things. Hey, Tom, I asked you about Pi-hole last week, and you advised me to use PFBlocker instead of my thing. Thank you so much. It's working perfectly. Awesome. Tom said L3 products were pants. Parents are on a pfSense box and it's working well, but the lack of auto update is a pain. Yes, it is. I will agree with that for home users. I really recommend people have things that auto update for home users. Is mesh mode different than range extenders? Yeah, kind of. It depends how each one's set up. That's a more complicated topic because it's implemented different ways, and there's a lot of there can be some name collision on how that works. Usually, the way UniFi mesh works is it takes a couple of the antennas and uses it as backhaul for the other device. I always recommend not doing mesh unless you have to, but if you have to do mesh, then you have to do mesh. What connection speed do I have? I think I have 300 here, 300 or 500. Dash cam transferring Wi-Fi for road integrated maps and such. Yeah, I have no use case for that. So, I mean, it feels like that's a better use case for a mobile phone, having it pull data from there because it's going to be more ideal. But I don't know. I've never wanted. Of course, I say I never wanted it, and then I bought a Tesla. Now I have a dash cam. I don't know, and I've never really. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's kind of novel. And I've seen people set up Raspberry Pis. For example, even with the Tesla, there's some Raspberry Pi projects. So you can stream your data to a Raspberry Pi that will hold all the data. And when it comes in range of Wi-Fi, of course, you could put 5G on there. You can then offload the data. The biggest problem with the webcam data and why I wouldn't want to do it over mobile is just because bandwidth, unless you have an unlimited mobile plan that never throttles, which isn't really how that works. What's UniFi like with IPv6 as parents are on CGNAT, IPv6 dual stack, parents are on 900. I have no idea, and I'm not going to bother with IPv6. Matter of fact, I thought it was interesting. I'll have to pull up the statistics. Cloudflare had some interesting stats for all the companies that have enabled IPv6, but all the traffic still goes to them IPv4. And if you try to turn off IPv4, it breaks things. So I don't know anything that only works on IPv6. Besides some esoteric thing that someone set up or they're hardcore committed to it. Got any thoughts on UniFi 6 mesh Coke can access points? Thinking of getting a couple in mesh mode. I don't know. They work fine, but UniFi supports mesh on a lot of different devices. So here's one of them. I mean, I've been using one for a while. I've had it since it came out. I don't think I ever reviewed it. One of them, I bought it because I wanted one. And we bought a couple of them for clients and they worked great, but I never reviewed it, but it works perfectly fine. And I don't know why they call it mesh. This is the confusing part because you don't need that device to mesh. You have other devices that mesh just the same. So you can mesh with that device or you can use it as a Wi-Fi device, but they've stuck the name mesh on there on a lot of like this one also can mesh. This is U6LR, does not have mesh in the name, but it will mesh. So it creates confusion to people. It's whether or not you turn the meshing on is what makes it mesh, not whether or not it's got mesh in its name. Welcome to UniFi's confusion that they've created. Raspberry Pi attached to OBD2 for coding my BMW. Yeah, no, that's a cool use case. It's a Swiss aspect, pfSense, OpenSense, Sophos XG. You can configure things like buffer bloat. UniFi expects you can get into the detail equally plus with the UniFi Express. Yeah, the UniFi Express is going to be, and this is where I'll land it, is unmistakably easy. Like it just works. But the moment you go, but I want to make it work differently, this is not the device for you. If you have needs to do all kinds of specialized policy routing, not the device you should buy. It's one of those things of how I feel about UniFi. You have to look at the features that you need and say, does UniFi meet that? Or look at features you'll need in the future. Like, will I need advanced WireGuard policy routing? You're not going to find that on the UniFi devices. You need failover not to have any headaches. Well, that's not on there. You want a real high availability system. That's also now going way outside of it. And I know they got shadow mode, but the shadow mode is like stupid. It's not really high availability at all. It's a warm standby that requires you to manually switch things over. It's not high availability. It's convenience of not having to set up a new system and get it up and running, but it's still downtime to do so. And a lot of people are asking for high availability because the internet is so critical to anything that people do. And you can do HA with pfSense with their lowest couple. You can pair up a couple low-end pfSenses and have an HA system if you need it. I use Cloudflare DNS point to HA proxy and pfSense stops working when I turn on Cloudflare proxy to hide my IP. I have no idea. I've never tried attaching Cloudflare tunnels to an HA proxy instance. I don't know what challenges you run into. Generally, if you're gonna do Cloudflare, you don't want to bother with HA proxy. I mean, why use both would be my question. If I was going to set some things up that point at Cloudflare tunnels, they would just point at the Cloudflare tunnels, and I wouldn't bother with the extra step or complexity of HA proxy. Any plans on checking more Armada stuff? No, I'm not impressed with them. They're slow to update on security. We've had some consulting come through, and we just had weird problems with them, and I find them a little buggy and not well documented, and not much cheaper than UniFi. So your cost savings is small, your security risk is higher. It doesn't really get me excited about it, but it's an alternative. It's out there if people want to use it. I just don't really, not big on it. What do you recommend for $1,000 budget true NAS home NAS system? Will only be NAS, not running containers. I think Brian Moses does a great job. I've mentioned him many times. If there's something stupid Google did, was they had this stupid thing called Journeys. I don't know what made them do this. But Brian Moses, he's got blogs on his TrueNAS builds. I don't really get into the budget ones. Most of the stuff we're doing, I just don't do many budget ones, so I don't know. I have a lot of high-end ones. So he's got some really good, deep, I mean, how low can you go budget DIY NAS systems? And he researches and gives you links to all the best places, and he builds them too. So check out briancmoses.com for TrueNAS builds. Greetings. Can you tell me how to configure XCP-NG with VLANs? I have a video on XCP-NG and VLANs. Let me look. How old is that video? There's probably a question I don't have the answer to. But I think let's see here. Oh, 3 years old, but this is going to be completely relevant. I'll drop a link to this video. It's defining VLANs in XCP-NG and Zen Orchestra. So that video is now in the comments. Agree with policy routing and dual WAN 4G backup UI devices work perfectly with pfSense. Yep. Speaking of DNS, notice my IoT do not use my local DNS server. Do you have a video showing how to capture all DNS regardless of devices hard-coded for? It's not a video. It's if you're using pfSense, there is an write-up in pfSense. Since DNS redirect. There you go. There's your pfSense redirect. It's the rules you can create in pfSense to make that work. I have new fiber interconnection, but the modem router access point is difficult to relocate. Where do I need it? I can use one UniFi AP or both WAN. I don't understand, but where I need it. Can I use one UniFi AP to both WAN, capture Wi-Fi, and LAN? No, that's not going to. Well, I mean, there's a way to make it would be really complicated, far beyond the time I have in this live stream to explain. There's actually a way to bridge different devices together, create a series of separate VLANs, but it's not ideal to do it that way, and it's complicated. In reality, UniFi expressly purchased my parents that there's potential Wi-Fi to be turned off and watch the various APs. You can use the Wi-Fi on it and an additional one as well. How much does XCP-NG consume without VM? I want to try it after your videos on Zima board, but I'm not sure yet since I don't have Windows and Linux and Mac. Is it worth a try? I don't like. Are you asking how much resources does it need? I can pull it up in my lab here. So let me pull the pool and share it. I think you're asking how much memory it needs. Let's find out here. So let me stop well, I don't think I have to stop it. I think I can just go to the system. It needs 2.5 gigs for the OS and the hypervisor to run. So 2.5 gigs. The rest right now, this has got 32 gigs, and we've got 10 gigs for Tom Windows, and my Kasm server is running with 12 gigs of RAM. I hoard data for posterity. Currently have a half a petabyte. Let's see, on 2 separate devices, Synology and QNAP. I would like a file delivery only server, and would like your opinion. I want 2 petabytes. File. I don't know what you're asking. You want a file delivery. What is a file delivery server? You want to be able to send files to people? Define file delivery server, and I'll see what I can do to answer the question. What up, son? Okay. You just let me know. All right. Do you want to say hi to everyone on the live stream?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, your voice sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
He's sick. Maybe don't breathe on me. Just curious, how did you find or first hear about XCP and why did you start using it? Oh, so that's actually I started, if you dig around on my channel, I wonder if I should take them down, because sometimes I like to leave videos up, but when they're highly inaccurate, like the old Citrix videos, they're not relevant anymore. But if you dig around on my channel, you find some Citrix videos. We inherited some clients that were using Citrix server, and it worked really well. I was actually shocked at how well it worked. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. So we got a little bit into Citrix, and then we got to be friends with people at Zen Orchestra, because that's what was managing Citrix. Then Citrix did a dumb thing. And when Citrix was done being dumb, XCP-NG was launched out of it. And I became friends with the people at Vates, and I was pretty blown away with the development cycle. And then from there, we started doing a lot of consulting. And now we're a number of years into the consulting gigs of XCP-NG, seen it operate at very large scales with thousands of virtual machines and be very manageable. And yeah, we've just been there since the product's been growing. So I think we're probably 5 years in. I have to look at what my oldest XCP-NG video is, but we might be as much as 5 years in. And I will tell you, it's been amazing working with the team. Like the people there are outstanding and really talented. So that's kind of what's pushed it. And the fact that they've got all the integrated backups into XO, boy, it just makes it really easy to manage and operate and do things at scale. So yeah, that's how we got into the whole XCP-NG thing, and still happy with it. File delivery in so much that it all stores data and delivers what I need. I don't need frills, just storage and delivery. You just want a place to store your files? My answer is always going to be TrueNAS. That's the world. TrueNAS is not lying when they say they are the world's most popular NAS software. They're the most popular open source NAS software specifically. I don't think anything is operating at like the number of installs that TrueNAS is. And they give you a hell of a lot of features on there. I like Synologies. I think they make a good product as well. I have several Synologies, but the TrueNAS system for large scale storage, we've sold petabytes and petabytes of storage all built on TrueNAS. It scales, it works, it's a solid system. So if that's what you're looking for, yeah. ExoSAN V2 will probably be out next year. That's my assumption. If you are running XCP-NG production with Windows servers, or using Veeam for backups, or are you just relying on internal tools for XCP-NG? Oh, this is the problem. Yes. A lot of times for consolidation, we'll put things in Veeam because it's easier. So yes, we'll still run Veeam. This is a complaint internally that we wish there was a Veeam integration. So it all was in our one system. It changes the licensing because if Veeam can talk to the hypervisor directly, it's going to be different than if Veeam talks to each individual VM. But that's the only solution for now. I don't know if Veeam. We'll see how the market shakes out with all the disruption being caused by VMware. And XCP-NG is definitely becoming more popular. Maybe Veeam will write some software for it. The team of 8s is not writing something for Veeam. They're not going to do that. They're not going to dedicate resources to it. Synology scales quite well, but it can be challenging because the large-scale Synology servers you might buy, once you get into their rack station ones, they have some restrictions on which hard drives you can use. And usually someone who's saying they are data hoarding for the sake of data hoarding has a hodgepodge of hard drives as opposed to a more restricted list from Synology, which leans people towards building out something with like a TrueNAS. I have 2 surveillance stations, mine and my parents'. Parents' is recording server linked with CMS, logged into primary, but not getting push notifications to remote cameras. Is there a way to fix this? I don't know why you're not getting push notifications. I have no problem with my push notifications. So because I don't have an error message to work off of, I don't know. The app seems to work fine for push notifications. I'm using the Synology's, what do they call that? Where the name's eluding me at the moment. I should log in and look at it, but I have it set up. So I'm using the Quick Connect with Synology for that to work. I don't know if the Quick Connect is why it works, but it does work. The CMS though, the CMS I've always found to be buggy unless it's local. Using CMS across the internet, I've never found works very well. I found it to go offline a lot. That's why I've never recommended it. Speaking of managing XCP-NG at scale, what's your preferred method of managing clients deployments? Do you clients in your XOA at all times, WAN VPN, or do you host multiple XOA instances? The best way to do this, and if I can find it for you, I will. I just had this bookmark because someone else has the same question. There we go. And I'll drop a link for people. I like dropping links. The best way to do it is a single XO instance and then use XO proxies the rest of the way. I'm dropping a link to that. This is the page on it. It's one instance of XOA and clients having XO proxy. I see a short, you said ECC RAM for TrueNAS. Why do most people say you should get it with TrueNAS? Because bad ideas and myths live on forever on the internet. For that one person that claims they had a bit flip that cost them their ZFS pool, that didn't happen. They had some other reason that cost them their ZFS pool. It's a nice to have, but it's not a required. That's the thing. It's not required. That's the whole thing. Do you run a Veeam server or just clients? Yes, we run Veeam server. We have a bunch. So I think a few of our technicians are Veeam certified as well. You may already have 1 terabyte in cloud storage. If you have any productivity software. Yeah, that's true too. You can disable Chrome Journey in the flags. I might do that because it's stupid. It's something I can go to hire us and help. What was your other question? I mean, you want us to turn on Cloud Connect with your Synology? Sure. I mean, it's really as easy as turning on their Synology Cloud Connect. But yes, you can hire us for that. You don't need TrueNAS. It'll work perfectly. Okay. You respond to someone else there. Make sure I understand that. If you're not using the Cloud Connect, I don't know if you get the notifications. That's the thing. The other problem is, just to let you know, like to hire us to help with it, if there's some bug and the Synology has to be reloaded, we'll spend the hours it takes to do that. Are you ready? You're talking $200 an hour of our time to do that. and if it's a bug that Synology has to work through because they've got something messed up in the system, we'll absolutely sit on the phone with the vendor for also $200 an hour. I just warn people ahead of time. Sometimes you got to, I mean, Synology has support for these things, and we will facilitate calling the support people and sitting on the phone, but that does come at the price right now. Our base price for getting things done is $200 an hour. But the simple thing is I would be using their cloud connector because I believe that's how it facilitates getting the data from your Synology to the push notification server at Synology, then down to the app. I'm almost positive that's how that works. So if you're not using the cloud connector, then I'm not, then, or just disconnect it and reconnect it. But yeah, we can audit the settings and see if there's something obvious in there. Fill out that hire us form, and you'll get you'll go through the process and you'll get a booking link. Looking at Synology, you're looking at $200 an hour. That's just our base rate for looking at those. Happy Saturday, DB Tech. Thoughts on a new VATES license? Look like they may be quite increased for someone having to buy support on each host versus just buying. Actually, I think they're pretty cheap. I think they're doing a very good job on their pricing for what you get. So I think the new bundled pricing that they're offering is solid. I talked about it on my last blog Thursday. I think, where did it go here? I can drop the link in. There we go. For anyone wondering, and I'll share the link in the description here. I think their pricing is very reasonable for what they're charging. If you're looking at just a basic small business plan, 6 tickets a year, 24-hour response time, $2,000 a year is pretty reasonable for licensing on there for all the features. That's backup and everything. That's the full XO. That's everything they offer. So I think that's a very reasonable price. And of course, they have enterprise pricing. They have pro pricing. They have, I dropped the link down there for people that want to take a closer look at it. I found a single PC Homelab box with Proxmox pretty good, plus Debian. On Debian seems to be a good combo for a lot of Homelab workloads. Yes, I definitely think Debian works great. Morning, Brett. This is another myth people like to repeat. I have a video on how much memory it requires because one of my servers, let me see, I'll pull it up because this is that thing that goes, that won't work, but it works all day long. It works perfectly fine. So if the 1 terabyte of RAM per 1 gig of RAM per terabyte of storage was actually true, this server wouldn't work as well as it does. That's just a backup server. It's not fast, but oh, by the way, I seem to have 5 gigs free. I also seem to have, this is like a 30 terabyte. I think this is the 30 terabyte server. I'm only using 12 terabytes of it, but obviously I've got more storage in here than the memory. At least that formula is broken. So no, that's not true at all. It was never true, but someone in the forums said it confidently and people said that must be true. That must be how that works. I should just do a separate video called Myths of ZFS. Have you got any questions regarding VMware migration? We have a ton of people asking questions about VMware migration. About 3 weeks ago, updated PFBlocker and was available but didn't do updating. Was worried about losing my free license. PFBlocker update completely borked. Fortunately, I saved the config before rebooting because OS was gone after reboot. Weird. Netgate was very good about helping me. Steep learning curve after a complete new install with CE. Loaded config and pfSense is 100%. Awesome. Depending on what VMware XCP you're in front runner, but we have 35 remote servers at schools, so that licensing stings versus what we currently pay for ESXi. They have. If you're a nonprofit, if you scroll down just below that, it says if you're a nonprofit, call us. We have deals. And by the way, I shouldn't say this, but it's the way their licensing works. Because it's free, it's a free product where you get support. You won't get on support on the machines you don't license, but you can talk to all the machines you don't have license. It doesn't restrict you from that. Just throwing it out there. If you buy the license, but you got to remember you're applying it to the machine for support. You're not going to get support on the other machines. So you can buy the license for part of it, or you can just buy a license for Zen Orchestra, but you won't get support, but you get all the same features. So just throwing it out there. And contact them though. They have a nonprofit and things like that. Is there a good alternative to the UniFi AI Theta? I don't know. I've not researched that. Have I tested the standby for the Dream Machine? I didn't bother because it's dumb. I don't have 2 Dream Machines, and I looked at it and I said, that's not great. It's better than nothing, and that's it. Needs XCP-NG, a hardware. It will work with the hardware RAID controller. It doesn't require a hardware RAID controller. I'll give them a call once we see VMware reveal new numbers. Yeah. I mean, here's the problem, though, of everyone wants their free thing, and the open source world is full of dead bodies where the community beat them to death with requests for support, bandwidth for hosting a project, and eventually no revenue coming in to keep the development going forward. It's been a few episodes ago that I talked about the history of open source firewalls, and that history went from lots of open source firewalls down to very, very few because there's not enough money in maintaining it. I don't know if you can use the Bluetooth unlock doors. I'm not sure about that. I have not looked up or kept up with all the changes to the UniFi door access system. So do you use UniFi or pfSense for your personal home firewall? Oh, pfSense. pfSense gives me way more flexibility, but for testing reasons, I've got the UniFi Express because I'm testing it. Because, here's the thing. I may like pfSense a lot, but if you were to ask me what would I install at someone's house that I don't manage, it's not going to be a pfSense that I have to update. I don't want to do it. And if they're not paying me to do it, sorry. And, even my daughter, she's got a Dream Machine. Why does she have a Dream Machine? Because it works. It auto updates. She just plays video games. My daughter doesn't work in tech. And so at her house, she is perfectly fine using it. This is a great home recommendation. And that's where I think that they really kill it right here. This is like, hey, you need these features at home. Here you go. This is a nice little box for doing exactly that. I think they really did a good job of it. I like the form factor. I like that it auto updates by default. All the right things. Good home user stuff. So, oh yeah, IP cop for sure. Definitely less secure to run your cameras over Wi-Fi. That's not even a question. And it comes down to how sophisticated is the person that's going to try to bypass it. If I wanted to do a bunch of Wi-Fi de-authing or make a bunch of noise, I would knock all your Wi-Fi devices off right away. If I knew you're having a Wi-Fi camera. So do we have the average criminal that you're trying to capture on camera with those tools? Maybe there's some. It's not zero, and it's definitely more every day because tools that make noise to disrupt your Wi-Fi exist, and they're not expensive. So it is a consideration that you have on there. How likely is it to happen? I don't know. What's your risk tolerance is how you answer that question. My risk tolerance says the problem with, and this is my concern with Wi-Fi cameras is partly the disruptive part, but way more, how am I going to power them? I have a bunch of cameras around my house. How am I going to power all those cameras? The only way I can really power those cameras is, let me pull them up real quick. So if I go into my cameras and pull up the monitor here, I need to be able to get power to the corner of my house so I can, look at my backyard. And the only way I can do that is PoE or run power to it. If I'm going to go through the trouble of running power to it, I may as well run a PoE. Oh, look, a squirrel. We'll watch it. I'm distracted by a squirrel. Literally, squirrel. Unified door access and Bluetooth on iPhones, at least, is not fully there as far as I know. Yeah. What steps would you take to make pfSense next gen? OpenSense guys have Zen Armor, which seems to do a lot of stuff automatically. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend pfSense for layer 7. If you need layer 7, you don't use pfSense. That's my answer to anyone who asks. Same answer all the time. Still getting over the first Dream Machine release, so won't be beta testing a dual setup, although their latest network stuff seems more solid. Yes. Our org saw the rating on the wall when Broadcom first announced the acquisition. We're sitting happy a year of migration on Nutanix. Yeah. Does XCP-NG have a concept of shared cluster storage for ISOs and VMs, or do you have to? You can do ExoSAN. That is their clustered storage. So yes, that's an option they have. ExoSAN is a paid feature though. That's when I say XCP-NG and ZenOrcs are free. ExoSAN is the one paid feature inside of there that you can't just grab the source code for. My wife's boss had this. All Ring cameras went offline during a car break into their car. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's a thing. I got a BMW car, and that's why my cameras are wired. I actually have both Ring and other. Sophos XG does have some of the layer 7 features. How do you pronounce that, Travis? Would it be Kisi? I'm curious. So Travis has actually worked with the Kisi system. I have not. I thought 1 gig of RAM per drive. I'm sure you're talking about TrueNAS. No, it's not. Wonder what the next big tech acquisition. Adobe's deal got abandoned. We don't need more big tech acquisitions. Could you maybe show what add-ons you run in your pfSense box? I run PFBlocker. That's it. I like NTOP. If you need monitoring, NTOP is cool. Other than that, it's NTOP and PFBlocker. That's it. I bounce between Cisco, Meraki, Sophos, and pfSense for my home firewalls. Hey, bounce around between them. That's how you learn. Do you know a good solution to put my game PC in a basement 20 feet away? Heat seems to be an issue on the main floor during the summer. Good solution to put my game PC in the basement? Get the drill. What list do I use in PFBlocker? I think the only thing I use, let's log in and look. People are going to be disappointed to learn this. And maybe I'll do an updated video on it. I'm not using DNSBL at all. Sorry. So this is turned off, so I don't care about these lists. IP-wise, I've been goofing with it, so let me see if... Yeah, I use the GeoIP and the Tor. So Tor is turned off. Actually, yeah. Tor and GeoIP is all I'm using. Do you recommend using Synology for security agreements? Any thoughts on Blue Iris? I don't want to run Windows, so I'm not running Blue Iris. I've liked Synology. It's a solid NAS solution. It's a solid security solution. Blue Iris works fine. People seem to be happy with it that use it. It has a lot of tinkering you can do in it. Why PFBlocker over AdGuard? Because it's built into pfSense. I don't have to run a separate system, and I don't care about AdGuard or Pi-hole features. They don't matter to me. I block things in the browser. It's way easier to deal with using like uBlock. that way, if I have a site that has a problem, I'm not going and logging into anything. I'm just doing it all right through uBlock. Keysi has hardware, of course, but it's all cloud managed. Ooh. Bounce between pfSense, OpenSense, and ditched on Tangle. Any idea why OTC 2FA has a separate page now in the latest version of TrueNAS added security? I don't know. Maybe make it harder to attack. That's my guess, because you got to go through more screens. I don't know. You probably go through their change log, and maybe there's a reason noted somewhere. Look under like UI fixes or UI changes in their Jira. They use Jira, and their development's open. There'll be someone's notes in there of why they changed it. They don't change things for no reason at all, or maybe they do. Well, no, they don't change for no reason. They change them for somebody's reason. Maybe that reason resonates with you. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not either. I use IP lists. Shame I can't buy a list from Talos outside of Snort. The problem is here's a good security example. In talking about this, it's the lists are always behind. They're constantly behind. The problem is we had a client get, they clicked on some stuff and they downloaded right from Bing a virus, essentially, that tried to install a rat on their system. So it tried to get remote access. It was downloaded directly from Bing, which created some confusion at first until I looked at the logs directly. I'm like, oh, Bing shows you the file and lets you download it. And one of the problems is the IP addresses it contacted. Let's pull them up real quick. I have a note on those. So let me pull up the security incident. All right, go here. But the IPs at the time of the event were not on there. This is just VirusTotal. So this is the contacted domains here. The IP addresses it reached out to. They're marked malicious now, but when we actually, this one's still not. Oh, that's part of it. Well, this one's part of Akamai is why you can't mark it as malicious, because if you block these things as malicious, they aren't going to. You'll break the internet if you break cloud content delivery networks from Akamai and Cloudflare. But yeah, when you start looking at all the files, all the reaches, everywhere the contact URLs are, these weren't even marked malicious anywhere. I am the first person to even submit this, and this client found it from Bing. So yeah, I'm not huge like those lists. Like they don't give me the warm fuzzies that they're really good. I actually did get the drill. PC's in the basement at the end of a 25-foot HDMI USB cables. Can't say I recommend this. I quit watching TV 13 years ago, probably. That's 13 or 14 years ago is the last time I had cable TV. Oh wow, it's been longer than that now. I think I got rid of cable TV around 2006 or 7. So I watch very little TV. I watch some streaming. I don't watch a lot of TV in general. I use the IP block list in PNG. Cool. You don't know how bad it is until there's an event and such. Yeah, we deal with events. That's how I know how bad it is. That's the automatic graph inside there that'll open things up. Do you think CrowdSec is better than static lists? I think both CrowdSec and SentinelOne are still probably your front runners for things for doing that. But I'm still a bigger fan of Huntress. I think Huntress has the best team out there when it comes to EDR. CrowdStrike's got a good team. SentinelOne's pretty good. We've been annoyed at some of the false positives, but SentinelOne's not a bad product. We use SentinelOne ourselves, but hands down, Huntress is still my favorite product. I trust their team the best. Cisco's list was always wrong when I managed search for our setup a couple years ago. It was always allowing sites that were categorized wrong. Yeah, probably. Need a decent endpoint protection. Even those behind shame. Even those behind though are same. Yeah, Huntress hands down is the best. I only have TV thing for fall football, and then I revert back to Hulu, back to just basic streaming. Yeah. Oh, I was thinking you said CrowdStrike. CrowdSec. Yes, CrowdSec is really good. I completely read that as CrowdStrike. My bad. But I know I said the words CrowdSec. In my head, it went to CrowdStrike. CrowdSec is awesome. Yeah, CrowdSec is coming for pfSense. They are. And yes, no, Huntress is not for home users. Sports Junkie here have all the streaming services. It's interesting because I don't know what the future holds because my kids, they're sports junkies too, esports, and that's only online. It's funny because people don't always realize that the biggest sporting events of today, the Super Bowl, is World Series is still a thing, right? I don't watch any sports, obviously. But if you started combining all those together, they don't hold a candle to the scale that esports operates at now. It's actually kind of funny. People don't realize that you look at like, oh, Hulu, they're a big place, right? They look like a rounding error when you compare them to the scale and scope that YouTube operates at as far as users. So yeah, that's it's going to be a different world over the next 10 years. Yep, Pop! OS is still my favorite for personal use. CrowdSec is pretty much DNS filtering. CrowdSec is not at all DNS filtering. CrowdSec is IP block listing based on reputation. CrowdSec is an IP reputation company. Let's see. Where else does that one reach out to? We're going to keep follow an execution path because it's entertaining. Look at all the PDFs this thing has in it. These are fun. Ooh, collections that contain this domain. Interesting. This is just a reach out to Adobe. This part's not malicious because it spawns Adobe Acrobat. Files, zip. Can we open this one up too? What other files is this? There we go. There's the files this drops. What are these files? This is fun to play. You can do this I'm doing this on the free account if you haven't played with it before. It's kind of fun. You mentioned one of your videos, you got into trouble with Ubiquiti due to your critical review of their products. You let us know some of the disadvantages of their products. Oh, I was dumping on their couple of things they made I just thought were terrible and dumb. And I said as much. And apparently, if a company sends you something and you tell them that they make a dumb product, which it was related to that stupid UPS thing they make, which I think they still make. This thing's dumb. They sent it to me and I told them it was dumb and they didn't seem to like my review. Do you have anything Windows in your home or is it all Linux? I have one Windows lab machine and then my wife runs Windows for work on a computer provided to her. My son's gaming computer, my gaming computer are both Windows. There's all the Windows machines. Is CrowdSec a replacement? No. Because I don't know if they block Tor, for example, and they block what they block. You don't get to choose your block list. You choose the block list. So it's not going to be as granular, I don't think. So you may want to run both. What was the data source? Oh, uploading a virus was the data source. just showing what we're looking at. This, let me go back over to it. This is just VirusTotal. You can upload viruses and view. You can go through and view them. You just sign up for a free account to do this. But literally, this is just VirusTotal. This is the file I started with for the detections. It was called Tractor Maintenance Month Report. And when I first uploaded it, I uploaded it last analysis 4 days ago, but it's about a little over a week ago. Let's see. Oh, we can actually search for more. Oh, that's paid. Those all require paid features. I'll say I can do. I'm just using a free version here. But you can go inside here and dig around, and you can find the different relations, behaviors. I like the free accounts for these things. For contacted IPs, then you can. That's how I bring it over to the graph, so we can break out these IPs. Oh man, I'm doing it completely wrong. Here we go. Here's the file I was talking about here. It's just a VirusTotal link. You can find this. Any clients running Nutanix? Oddly, we have 0 clients that I'm aware of. We have over, well, I mean, between not just the consulting clients, but like the contract IT clients is like, I think 120 or so. 0 of them have Nutanix. Lots of them have VMware. What about the Power Distribution Pro? I don't remember if that one's less dumb, but I found them all dumb. One of the problems is they'll take over a power supply, but they won't power a system if it goes down if you power cycle it. And I thought that was stupid. Are there fiber HDMI cables? Probably have better experience at that distance. I missed the name of the software you just posted. VirusTotal. Who caught it? Both S1 and Huntress. So both triggered on the alert. Can XCP-NG do converged storage like vSAN? Yes. It's called ExoSAN. Didn't you ask this question yesterday or Thursday? Is running TrueNAS with HBA card pass-through and a VM the same as bare metal? Not really. There's always extra overhead that the hypervisor is going to create and may or may not create problems. No, we don't run any VIOS systems. We run some really high-end Cisco stuff for that, but nothing VIOS. Oh, ExoStore, not ExoSAN. I'll go to their web. It's on their website. So I get it right. Here we go. It is ExoStore. I was definitely saying it wrong. Commercial release coming soon. Hyperconverged solution. So yes, I can stop saying it wrong. They've done such a nice job on their pages. I actually love the design aesthetic they follow. I wish manufacturers can take honest feedback. I'm fine with it because now no one complains I'm biased anymore because I buy everything myself. There's no way to complain that I'm biased. I'm the one that chose to buy the product to review now. Talking about Windows, when Windows 10 reaches end of life, there's going to be millions of home PCs that won't have Windows 11 hardware requirement. They're going to go Linux Homelabs or newish servers. Computers are so cheap. I think people are just going to buy new computers. Most of the time, it drives hardware sales for sure. It drives e-waste because there's a lot of times nothing wrong with those, but a lot of people won't bother to reload it. They'll say, oh, it's expired. They'll use it until it gets infected or has a real problem, and then they'll do something about it. Oh yeah. Why didn't I review the much better RGB Max Ultra Pro switch? Well, because I'm choosing where to spend my money, and my money, I wasn't choosing to spend my money on that. I like RGB. I might buy one because I think I like RGB, but it'll be my choice to buy one, not review it. Let's see here. Closing all the windows I have open. That way, when I'm looking at things, I don't have to search as much. There's a lot of things I have open. I don't need these open. There we go. Closed all those. You know, I'm going to give these people a mention because I think they make a neat product, but I'll admit I should take money from them. They offered to sponsor this. This is so I have not said yes to the sponsorship. I like to test out the product first. I am running this in there. We'll answer a few questions before I show you real quick. Just the opportunity to manage 60K virtualization stack. Was excited XCP-NG on it. Unfortunately, the customer prefers Proxmox, and the customer is the creator of Ceph. Well, yeah, they're gonna like that then. Two things that UniFi are so crap. Their routers compared to pfSense and their UPS hardware component, they have such an opportunity of greatness with those spaces, yet they fall short. Yes. People make fun of RGB switch, but I definitely see the utility. I don't see the utility. It is not that common of a problem. I guess the one time, the use case I have is really simple. If I forget my glasses, everything's a little blurry right now, and you tried to get Tom to plug something into the right port, there's a chance if I forgot my glasses, I may not get it in the right port. But if you color code the port, that's handy. So their use case is people that need glasses to see things up close, like me. that's their target audience. And see, I'm not sponsored by them, and they didn't. I can say anything I want. Label, yes. Label your ports, physical and touch. I label everything. And guess what? I don't move them that often. My desktop distro, because people are asking, always it's been Pop! OS for years, and I don't have any plans on changing that. Thank you for your hands down to earth, interesting YouTube videos. Happy holidays to all of you. Awesome. Thank you. Being able to make a port you are looking at flash is pretty useful. Making a flash, there's switches that do that. That's easy enough, but we actually looked it up. We were trying to figure out how often that we're ever changing things across all of our client base. And yeah, just not really a thing. But I want to mention this because I just thought it was really novel, and maybe some of you might find it novel as well. And that's Kasm. They want to sponsor a video, and I haven't said yes yet, but this is just cool because it's all disposable desktops, and we'll say current tab sounds fine. They're disposable instances of different things, and I find it's really novel for me being able to spin something up. Actually, let me confirm something here, because I've been shuffling things around this morning, make sure they're all back where they belong. And they are. Sweet. So these are disposable tabs I've set up in here. Jay from LearnLinks TV already has a video on this topic, so it's not that new. And yes, this IP address puts me in Switzerland because it's all set up behind a VPN. But if you ever needed a browser that also can run in a browser, so we've now taken the browser, running it in a browser, and then it allows me to have a disposable browser to go to shady websites and test things. And then when I'm done and close the browser, it all goes away and gets wiped and everything starts over. It's really slick how this works. It's actually streaming this. So this isn't running. It's running in my browser via a stream. It's actually running on my Kasm box. And I just think this is such a neat idea. I didn't get it at first, but once I started using it, I'm like, oh, this is a really slick tool. KasmWeb.com is their website for this. But if you haven't played with it, I would really recommend checking it out. It's not exactly similar to Cubes. Cubes works very different than Kasm. Kasm runs as a server, and when you run that server, you get this ability to stream within that server. Matter of fact, let me so delete this session. It's going to destroy the session. And let's fire up a Kali Linux session. Current tab, launch. So now we're going to instantly spin up. Boom. Here's a Kali Linux instance for me. And it's also behind a VPN. I think we can do city. Yeah. Thinks I'm in Zurich. How do we make that? I think I can do this. Oh, cool. It takes the browser commands. So there. So if I wanted to go do something in here, absolutely I can do. I have this instantly running Kali Linux with lots of tools in it. So we can start doing assessments, start pulling some data. And when I'm done, it leaves no trace. So I go over here and delete the session. It's gone. It's going to destroy a session. What if I need to pop open a Tor browser? Well, I can do that too. Let's launch Tor. So we're going to create a Tor connection. And this will let me know once this is established, and then I can start instantly looking at things on Tor. But when I'm done, it all goes away. And there's no way for it to escape here to get somewhere else because these sessions are all very contained. Pretty cool, though. Yeah, I've never used the AR thing. Is there any place we can... Computers, is there any good use place condition business computers 10 years old? We just dump them in the trash, just removing a hard disk. And I think it's waste. We take everything to recyclers. I had a coworker unplug a switch because the color of the light couldn't tell. Service power supply. Yeah. So what's not sponsored you want to show off is Kasm, that right there. Is it safe to use Headscale in production? I don't know that it's been code tested very well. I don't know if there's any bugs in it. I can't answer that from a securities perspective because I've never done a code review of it. And I don't know if anyone has. It seems to work. I know a lot of people that seem to run it, but yeah, that's different. Kasm is pretty cool. Kasm is more people liking Kasm here. Kasm is cool. Doesn't seem to work well remotely. Been tinkering with quite a bit. You can make the containers persistent if you need to. Yes, you can. Homelab. 3 years ago, I picked up a 1U KVM switch from local recycler. It died. Was looking for replacement. Yeah, the Bly KVM is good. That's another option. Is a Bly KVM. I had to update Netgate 1537. It failed to update 2309 due to adding a card in a device, which changed the signature. Huh. Interesting. How can I reset root password? I forgot. Everything online doesn't work. You have to. There's instructions on there. More. I don't know. If you look, trying to think of the best site to do it. There's a ton of instructions of how to boot off of a rescue. So look for rescuing system so you can do that. That's probably the best way to do it. Kasm VNC is cool. You can have a Docker Firefox. Yes. I'm self-hosting it. Yes. Thoughts on Unraid? I don't feel like I hear it recommended often. I think it's falling out of popularity. Homelab seems to be really popular amongst home users, but you can outgrow it. It's not as robust as TrueNAS, but it does have some niche features with the way it runs some containers that make people really happy. I've never used it, and I don't plan to use it. It doesn't scale to what I need, and it doesn't have the performance I need. So I don't have a use case for it. Yeah, Jay did a review of Kasm. It's solid. It's just a neat. I'll throw it in here. I'll give them a shout out, even though they didn't sponsor me, because I didn't reply to them. They've reached out to me and I didn't reply. Oh, my wife wants to know my thoughts on going to IKEA. Yeah, I was just thinking about winding this down. It's been going for an hour and 20 minutes. So you ready to go to IKEA, honey? I like that my wife has joined the live stream. She must be between TV shows. Big Unraid fan. Awesome. I don't like the IKEA meatballs. Let's get an opinion poll on the IKEA meatballs. I'll ask my wife. Do you like the IKEA meatballs? I like the fish. Actually, there's another question. What are we going to eat while we're out there? Are we going to go to eat at IKEA, or should we stop at an Indian place while we're out there? There's some good Indian food right by IKEA. Never had. I don't recommend going to IKEA for food. It's not the food place, but it's definitely a good place for other things. I've got a whole office tour that I've done, and let me pull this up real quick. We got to talk about what we're buying at IKEA before I get off this live stream. Where is it at? Because I sent it to Brett. There we go. This is actually what I'm getting from IKEA, for anyone wondering. This is how I build all my benches. I like IKEA countertops. So this is what my current desk is built out of. I'm getting a wider one to build my workspace. That way all my stuff is universally the same in here. I just like doing it myself and using built-ins. They make really affordable, solid kitchen countertop stuff. And I like the wood. That's keeps with the theme I have here in my office. So that's where my next trip is. Let's see. I you know what? I do like a good hot dog. I'm not going to lie. I made a workbench out of one of those. Yeah. Would you add RGB to the table? Maybe. You like Swedish meatballs, but the IKEA ones are. See, I think that probably if I went to Sweden, I would get really, really good meatballs. I don't think that the furniture store is the proper representation of how good Swedish meatballs probably are. Because I mean, I've heard they're good, but I just think furniture stores, it's like, I don't know. They primarily are a furniture store, not a food store. Throwing it out there. So, but now all of you have made me hungry and I realize I need to eat. That being said, I'm going to wind this live stream down and maybe I'll do a Christmas Eve live stream. I don't know. These are fun. I like doing live streams. And now that I have a way to go back, apply some AI tools and index them for people that don't want to watch me babble for an hour and 22 minutes and find all the time indexes for the things I talked about. And that is going forward in the future. I will get that done. I just gotta automate the workflow on it, but it's not going to be too hard to do. When food becomes the main part of the stream, it's time to quit. Yes. I like answering everyone's questions. It's always fun to engage with everyone. But thanks everyone for joining. This was awesome. This was fun. And take care. We have planned. No, I'll do it Christmas Eve morning. That's the solution. Christmas Eve morning, I will do this. So enjoy, everyone. And if for some reason my wife finds a task for me that doesn't have me doing this Christmas Eve morning, I will see you on Thursday. So have happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that fun stuff. Later. Oh, sign up for my newsletter at lawrencesystems.com.